Hey, welcome to another day of Smokin' with Joe. And today we're going to make some smoked pastrami. But first, two things. We want you to subscribe if you like the videos so far, and stick around to the very end of the video because we'll be giving away a coupon code so that you can actually get a discount at bradleysmoker.com. What we're going to do is we're going to make some smoked pastrami out of the flat that was part of the brisket that we cut apart when we made the smoked burnt ends. So I have a little bit of work here. I'm just going to cut the cap down to about 1/4 of an inch of fat and trim it up a bit, and then it's going to go into the brine, which we'll show you how to make. And it's going to go into the fridge for 6 days to cure, and then we'll take it out and smoke it. I've sped up the video to save a little time, but as it turns out, it also hides a lot of my amateur meat cutting ability. But really all I'm doing is taking very thin slices and removing the silver skin and some of the fat and just kind of smoothing out the underside of the flat muscle, or the pectoralis profundus if you really want to get fancy. And then I flip it over and shave down the fat layer to give it an even thickness of about 1/4 of an inch or so. And trim the edges, and really that's it. Looks pretty good, pretty clean, pretty even, you know, despite a few areas that I nicked into it when I was removing the point. But other than that, it's going to be smoked pastrami. It's going to taste great. I don't think that's really going to matter. Okay, so it's time to put the pickling spices together and make the brine for the pastrami. I went to YouTube and actually found a really cool recipe by Chef Tom over at Tall Things Barbecue. He made it look really good, and I thought I'd give it a try. Of course, the difference is going to be that he uses a different smoker. We use the Bradley smoker. It starts by adding a tablespoon of coriander and a tablespoon of mustard seeds and a tablespoon of peppercorns to a skillet, and heat them up until they become aromatic. Make sure that they don't get too hot and start burning. Okay, now I can smell them, so it's time to take them off. Just add them to a bowl here. I'm going to let the spices cool down, and I'm going to crack them open with a rolling pin. Once I've cracked all the spices, I put them all back into the bowl. I add a tablespoon of whole cloves, a tablespoon of allspice berries, 1 tablespoon of red chili flakes, 2 bay leaves all crumpled up, 1 teaspoon of ginger powder, 1 teaspoon of mace, and then I crush a stick of cinnamon and add it as well. Alright, so I've just boiled up a gallon of water. Next I add 1½ cups of kosher salt, 1 cup of white sugar, and 4 level teaspoons of Prague powder number 1. Stir it all up until it dissolves, and then I'll add the pickling spice mix. Add the garlic, get it to a boil, then let it cool. Alright, so we've got the brine here. I'm going to add it to another gallon of cold water, and that's going to be the complete recipe here. It's cooled off enough. It's going to sit in here for 6 days, and then we come back, take it out, and smoke it. It's going to be awesome. The flat has been in the brine now for 6 days, and I've taken it out. I've washed it off under cold water, and what I'm going to do now is just give it a bit of a coat of mustard. I'm just using the mustard to hold the rub in place. And the rub is black pepper and coriander, exactly like what we did in the beginning where we baked it on the skillet, and then I cracked it open. And there's no salt in it, which if you think about it, if I was to add salt, I'd just make this extra salty. It's been sitting in a salt brine all week, so it really doesn't need salt. All right, into the smoker it goes. So in about 8.5 hours, this is going to be a really good piece of smoked pastrami. You probably notice I've got the fat cap on the top, and I did that on purpose because I want the fat to melt down into the meat, keep it nice and moist and juicy. Let me get this in there and I'll tell you the settings. Okay, so it's going to be a real simple setup. 250 Fahrenheit for the initial cook temperature, 9 hours for a cook time, and 3 hours of smoke time. That's it. So I'm going to come back in a couple of hours and just check on things, but there's really not much more I can do. It's been 3.5 hours. The smoke cycle is done, so it's time to take a look. Okay, so as you can see, this has got a great bark on it. It's time to wrap it. Okay, so it's back in the oven. There's no more smoking happening, and I'm going to turn up the temperature to 290 degrees. Okay, now I'm just going to let it cook. I'll be coming back to check it in about 3 hours. Well, it's time for the big reveal. I can already tell that this went really well just by the way it feels and the way it smells. It's incredible. Can't wait. But before I do this, I'm going to do my little thing where I like to save the juice. I hate it when it spills all over the place. So I'll just hold her up. It's still pretty hot. As you can see, it's running out anyways. Much better to have it in here than all over the table. I get to use it later when I put it in the fridge or when I cook it up again. Or pour it on my sandwich. That should do it. So I'm just going to cut a little piece off and see how it tastes. Cuts like butter. Still pretty hot, but I'm going for it. Actually, that is so spectacular. Somebody asked me if the food actually really does taste that good. Oh yeah, it tastes that good. Well, that's pastrami. Thank you very much for watching, and if you liked us, please subscribe. We're going to be doing a lot more videos. And make sure you check out the coupon code for your discount at bradleysmoker.com. Check it out. Talk to you soon.